Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Anthony Carlisle. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, we have full reports on Tzu Chi's major distribution of aid to survivors of the earthquake and tsunami in northern Japan. We bring you another story from the medical station in rural Dapu township of southern Taiwan to meet one of its committed volunteers. And we start a new series on the challenge of caring for the growing population of elderly people in Taiwan as traditional family structure changes. But we start today's show in the United States, which has been ravaged by more than 1,200 tornadoes this year. The loss of lives and property have been heavy. In Joplin, Missouri, where a Category 5 twister struck on May 22nd, local Tzu Chi volunteers just concluded a relief program this weekend. Meanwhile, in Northern Carolina, volunteers continue to tend to victims of a tornado outbreak in mid-April.
Sunday service at the church in North Carolina is always festive. Bathing in the beautiful gospel music are also some visiting Buddhists.
We from the Tzu Chi organization is an organization that started in Taiwan 45 years ago by Master Zheng Yan, and a big component of this organization is disaster relief, and we have helped 4 families in this area. We are looking to help more.
On April 16th, parts of North Carolina were severely damaged by tornadoes. Since then, local Tzu Chi volunteers have mobilized to help, regardless of religious differences.
We thank God for our sister Idris helping and getting in contact with you, working with you. We just appreciate it so much. All of Torchlight, thanks.
I'll tell you what, we did enjoy you coming to our church today, and we hope that you will come back by to visit us again. And anytime you feel like it, please come by.
How are you? Yeah. Hi, Chris.
Those displaced by the tornadoes have moved into temporary apartments and are without means to furnish their new homes. Thus, Tzu Chi volunteers brought microwaves.
I want to say thank you to everybody, to all your organization, because you really help us a lot.
In this year alone, more than 1,200 tornadoes have ravaged the United States, claiming lives and destroying properties. Tzu Chi volunteers from all over the country continue to do their best to care for the disaster victims.
Over in Japan, volunteers in the Tzu Chi disaster relief team were also caring for disaster victims this weekend. On a 4-day cash relief distribution in Iwate Prefecture, which started on Thursday, the team split into 2 smaller groups to get the job done. One group was in Kamaishi from Thursday to Saturday, June the 9th to the 11th, while the other group was in Rikuzen, Takata from Friday the 10th to Saturday the 12th. Volunteers had originally prepared relief supplies for 9,000 families. In the end, they handed out just over 6,500 care packages.
It is not yet 7 a.m. in Rikuzen, Takata, but residents have already started arriving at Tzu Chi's relief distribution site. Escorted to the waiting area, residents are also given a Tzu Chi monthly, which details Tzu Chi's relief work in Japan, to read while volunteers pick up the pace to finish setting up so the event can start early. Uchida-san from Miyagi Prefecture and his wife from Malaysia are volunteering on this day and have both been hard at work since morning.
女房の関係で、4、5年そういう話聞いたり、マレーシアで見たり。
My wife mentioned Tzu Chi in Malaysia and how she has been a part of their events in the past. Slowly, I also began to see Tzu Chi as a great organization. Thank you so much for doing all this on the behalf of Japan. With the volunteers' help and support from all over, we can start rebuilding the disaster areas.
Another volunteer is the eager to serve Murai-san, who drives one of Tzu Chi's supply trucks.
やっぱり日本のために台湾などから来てもらっている。
Seeing how people came as far from Taiwan to help Japan, if I, a Japanese, didn't also do something, I would feel really embarrassed.
ことだと思うんですよね。
Maeda-san and his wife lost their 2-year-old daughter to the tsunami. Now they wait patiently to pick up their aid package.
那个时间就是2:45分，那个时候。
It was about 2:45, and we both were in Ofnato at work, so we couldn't get back in time to get our child. My husband's grandma was the one who went to pick up our daughter. Her body has still yet to be found. The body of my child has already been recovered.
This family also lost their grandfather and younger brother, which totals 4 family members to the disaster. Wounds like this will take time to heal.
The pain of losing my child, I have yet to forget. I want to have another child soon, so we can be a family again.
As the mother breaks down in tears, a volunteer is there to offer her comfort. Aid continues to be delivered to the residents of Rikuzen Takata. Now 3 months after the disaster, the smell of rotting fish hangs in the air, the result of spoiled stock at the nearby fish processing plant. Since the tsunami, residents have been living in these conditions. Knowing that volunteers from Taiwan have arrived to give out aid, residents line up early. The local disaster center gives out a number to each arrival, thus helping the day flow more smoothly. Offering cups of water, volunteers carefully attend to each resident. Kano-san is grateful to receive his share and recount his memories of the tsunami.
Following the tsunami warning, I hurriedly drove home. At home, as I was changing clothes for my escape, the tsunami hit, washing myself and my home away.
Fortunately, Kano-san survived by grabbing hold of a window frame. Another victim, Suzuki-san, although injured in the tsunami, says he's thankful to be alive.
I thank you all, though this is not a lot of money. Where I live now is very small, so I don't really need anything. I just want a place where I can rest my head, that's all.
Now 3 months since the tsunami, thanks to the hard work and indomitable spirit of the Japanese, hope is beginning to return to the disaster areas, and Tsuji will continue to be there to help every step of the way.
As we just saw, Tsuji's disaster relief team in Japan has successfully concluded its first large-scale cash relief in Kamaishi and Rikuzen Takata of Iwate Prefecture. In Rikuzen Takata, one of the distributions was carried out at Takata Elementary School. For many residents who received Tsuji blankets before, it was like seeing old friends again.
Rain has turned the ground of Takata Elementary School into mud. Tsuji volunteers quickly search for a solution. They bring out chairs so residents can sit in the hallway as they await their turn.
中国語のありがとうございます。勉強したいですか？
谢谢。谢谢。你讲还有另外一个讲法叫做感恩。
他の言い方は感恩。感恩。
もう一回お願いします。
感恩。
ありがとうございます。
The simple language lesson has brought everyone closer together.
泊まる時なところは台南。あ、いいところですね。台北。台湾島です。よろしくお願いします。请多多关照。请多多关照。
Takahashi's-san arrived early in the morning. Her pent-up emotions are finally let loose in a loving embrace with a volunteer.
When the tsunami came, right before my very eyes, my home and my car were washed away. The entire Takatacho was submerged in seawater.
Though it has been more than 3 months since the 9.0 quake struck, victims remain traumatized. After receiving Tsuji's relief cash, Takahashi-san joins as a volunteer. Rikuzen Takata City Councilman Satake-san also stops by.
今日皆様から義援金を頂戴してちょうど今日
Today, people have received a relief cash donation. They can go to buy a television or a washing machine and start their life anew from today. It's a brand new start. Truly, we thank you very, very much. You have come at our 3-month anniversary to offer your help. You make us all feel very blessed.
3ヶ月で気持ちがこんなに安らぐことができて大変幸せに思っております。
For many residents, the relationship with Tsuji began from a blanket.
嬉しかったですよ。寒い時でしたからね。すごくみんなね喜んでましたよ。
Within 2 weeks after the March 11th quake, Tsuji volunteers had already delivered blankets to emergency shelters. The love had supported the survivors since.
We are now making some handcrafts. Everyone is doing their best to cope. I still remember the moment when I received my blanket and the person who gave it to me. It's that person over there.
Tightly holding their hands together, hearts are brought together without the need for words. At 2:46 on June 11th, the volunteers and residents hold a simple memorial service in commemoration of the disaster's 3-month anniversary. Facing life's impermanence, the survivors wipe away their tears and vow to keep going. A woman has a personal message for her sister in Taiwan.
カズアニ、えっちゃん、りょうすけくん、なつみちゃん、私たちは、台湾スーチーの人たちにも助けられて、また元気で暮らしてます。台湾の皆さんありがとう。谢谢。
In our next report, we go back to the medical station at Dapu Township in Jiayi County, Taiwan, to meet kind-hearted Tzu Chi volunteer Yao Ping-fei. As well as helping out the doctors and nurses at the clinic, the volunteer also makes tea for the patients so they can have something to drink in the waiting room.
While most of people are still asleep at 5:30 in the morning, Tzu Chi volunteer Yao Ping-fei is already up and busy boiling tea in her kitchen. After nearly 2 hours of preparation, she takes off for Dapu Medical Station.
Our change flavors come different seasons because I think if I only cook one type of tea, people will get tired of it and others might not enjoy the taste. So depending on the weather, when it's cold, I will cook something to warm up like brown sugar in ginger tea.
Yao Ping-fei first noticed the length that senior residents had to wait before receiving their treatment, so she decided to prepare some tea. She says the drinks not only prevent people from getting dehydrated, but it's also a way for her to bond with the patients.
Ping Fei is really kind. Last time she made some herbal tea for everyone, and this time the tea she brought is good for the lungs and helps with coughing too.
At first I didn't bring any drinks, then I noticed that when these patients came, they had to wait a long time and some of them got thirsty. So I decided to boil some tea and hand it out for them to drink.
The volunteer knows the hardship patients go through, as she used to be one at the clinic herself. For years, Ping Fei was troubled by allergies, and her condition only improved after being treated by a Chinese medical doctor in the station. Seeing the medical staff busy working all day and night, Ping Fei wanted to help.
When there are so many patients, I feel that Dr. Ye and the nurse can barely make it through the day, so I thought that I should try to help them, but I didn't know how. Then I spoke to another commissioner about it. He said, if I really want to help them, I can take a medical volunteer course and become a volunteer to help them out.
By devoting herself to Tzu Chi's medical mission, Yao Pingfei is not only a great assistant to the medical staff, but also makes the patient's visits a comfortable one with her tea.
There's an old Chinese phrase that says an elderly person at home is like having a treasure. Yet the problem of caring for a sick or infirm senior can put a strain on the family. And there's also the wider social issue of the demographic shift. The Taiwanese government estimates that in 20 years' time, the proportion of people aged 65 or above will be almost 20% of the population. That means for every 5 people, there will be 1 old person. Starting from today, Da'ai Headlines will be bringing you a 5-part series of feature reports on Taiwan's aging population. In the first, we discover how the burden of looking after old people falls mainly on the shoulders of family members and foreign maids.
这是你们家？哎，对，还习惯吗？很习惯，非常习惯，很喜欢这里。对，他们都马上。
This is a privately run, government-owned nursing home in northern Taiwan. This elderly couple's mahjong-playing partners are fellow residents.
It feels like home. Everyone gets on very well, just like a family.
The couple's children are living overseas. It wasn't easy for them to leave their old familiar property, but knowing that someone is here to help in case of an emergency makes up for not having a so-called home of their own.
When you're old, you're always afraid something might happen all of a sudden. If you're living alone, sometimes the neighbors won't be there.
At the nursing home, there's always someone to keep you company. Everyone looking after these old people is a foreign worker. There are 180,000 foreign maids in Taiwan. Only families that do not have a live-in overseas caregiver can apply to the government for a nurse to care for an elderly relative, but only then for a maximum of 3 hours a day. So most families with a relative who needs 24-hour care are forced to put them into a home. Suffering from dementia, elderly Mr. Lee lives together with 40 other veterans. Without family, they need to support each other and learn to get along together. Children regularly come to this daycare centre to keep the residents company. Another important service provided is home medical care for incapacitated seniors. Nurses visit the homes of outpatients who are recovering from recent surgery to carry out physiotherapy. This service, which is provided by the Geriatric Centre at Veterans Hospital, allows elderly people to stay at home while they receive treatment.
We hope, starting from this year, to expand this service to all our patients, and not only joint and bone fracture cases.
In traditional Chinese culture, the children are expected to take care of their elderly parents. But this model is changing with the shift away from large families. In modern times, there are not enough adult children to shoulder the responsibility of caring for the elderly. For the many people who cannot afford a foreign maid or a nursing home, the government needs to have a social welfare net in place. And it's not just the elderly who need care. There are many sick and disabled people who require professional attention. Taiwan still has some way to go before it achieves universal care for its aging population. On this day, the 14th of June. Born in Rosario of Argentina on this day in 1928, Ernesto Che Guevara was a young medical student who travelled on his motorcycle around Latin American countries where he witnessed poverty, hunger and disease. The travelling experiences inspired Guevara to join politics and become a revolutionary. Che Guevara would later be named by Time magazine as one of the most influential people of the 20th century. On this day in 1940, the German army entered Paris along the Champs-Élysées, marched past the Arc de Triomphe and raised the swastika over the Eiffel Tower, marking the fall of Paris. The French would sign an armistice on the 22nd of June of the same year, which officially marked their surrender to Germany. Scottish inventor John Logie Baird, who came up with the world's first publicly demonstrated television system and also the first electronic colour television tube, passed away on this day in 1946. Though Baird's electrochemical system was later replaced with purely electronic systems, his inventions made a great contribution to the television industry. Held in a sports stadium in the Banqiao district of the now new Taipei city, the 100th Blessed Life Lecture was attended by over 20,000 people. Master Zheng Yan spoke on great love and called on participants to give selflessly to enrich the lives of the needy and bring harmony to society. Team of medical staff from northern Taiwan, including Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital's Urological Department Director, Guo Hanchong, visited spinal injury patients in Taoyuan's Yangmei town for the first time on this day in 2006. The house calls helped bedridden patients receive professional medical treatment without having to travel. At this year's Read Malaysia International Book Fair, volunteers introduced the public to Jingsa Publications at Tzu Chi's booth. One family of Da-Ai viewers came prepared with their own environmental shopping bags. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching Da-Ai Headlines. Goodbye.